For a while now I wanted to have a power supply that will allow me to test certain things like fans, LEDs, RGB, things like that, because I get a lot of things into the workshop. Some are old, some are new, and sometimes you just want to test it before you actually get it onto a motherboard, because by the time you've built that it takes a long time. So what I've done is I've managed to salvage an old power supply out of this server chassis that I used to build the PC test bench. Now I could just use this power supply as is and basically just trip the wires so that it comes on, but I don't really want all these wires hanging everywhere. I'm not sure how to fit this up. I don't want to be able to jump wires and things like that, so I need something a little bit tidier. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually build a box for this power supply, trim off some of the wires. What I'm going to do is leave the Molexes on, because Molexes are going to be the ones that are used the most, and you can adapt them using very cheap adapters for anything really, if you need to test a fan and things like that. So what I'm going to need is the power supply. And by the way, this is a 400 watt power supply from the server, so it'll pretty much cope anything that I'm going to plug into it. A latching switch which will jump the wires for the power supply to come on. A piece of old MDF which I'll use to build the actual box for this, and then for fan covers, and I think it's going to go that way around, and some feet on it, I'm going to 3D print a base. So I'll get started on that right now. So the first job to do was strip down the power supply and remove all the cabling that we didn't want because it would just get in the way, but we did need to save a few wires. What we've done is we've cut off the main ATX 24 pin, which was a 20 on this one because it was an old power supply, the CPU plug, and there was an extra fan controller for the actual power supply itself which didn't need anymore, so we've cut all them off at the board. We've hot glued anything that needs to, so it's all protected. I will say be careful if you're opening these, because they can still hold a lot of current on the high voltage side, so you'll get a bit of a shock if you play too far, but best off just to leave them, to be honest. So next job now is just to put it all back together again. So as you can see from the back now, all the cabling is actually much cleaner, it's much better to deal with, but we've kept the Molexes. So I've got one Molex there, there and there. That gives us 6 to begin with, but we can always extend off them because they could probably take a lot more fans than one at a time. We've kept the green and a neutral so that we can get the switch to work and turn the power supply on itself, and we've kept a 12 volt and a neutral for the light in the switch. What we will do at some point is we will carry on this covering of these cables, because I'm not going to have any kind of plugs on the unit. What I'm going to do is just have these cables coming out of the unit, allow me to plug into multiple fans so that I can display or test anything I need to. So we'll crack on with that. We've 3D printed a base that the power supply is going to sit on. Just something like that, and it will screw through the original holes for the fan. Like I said before, we put a grill into the base, so we don't need the grill that's currently on the power supply. We've got some pieces for a box, so we've got the outline for the power supply ventilation and where you plug it in. We've got the front where the power switch will fit, and then there'll be the cables that come out there, so the 3 Molexes. We've got some sides, and we've got a top. Now we just need to put it together, tidy it up, and fit all the components. And here it is. This is our finished unit. So what I've done is I've painted the case in a black textured paint, fit the switch, fit the power supply inside. You can see it comes out the back, just a standard 3-pin cat plug. Kept the Molexes, so we've got 6 Molex altogether, and I've braided them to just tidy them up a bit. It all looks pretty cool. So all you need to do is plug in the plug, switch the power on at the back, hit the switch, the light will glow on to say that power is on. You can hear the fan coming on, And now we have power to all of our Molexes. If you want to see more projects like this, remember to subscribe to the channel.